Welcome back to the deep dive. So if you've been following the conversation around tech and education, you've heard the term metaverse a lot.
Oh, constantly.
Right. But usually that word brings up images of, gaming or social VR, maybe even speculative stuff. It's all centered on leisure.
On pleasure, really.
Exactly. But today we are going to tear that definition down. We're diving deep into a completely different vision, an educationally grounded one from a project called Docuplay.
And that's a really crucial distinction to make because Docuplay saw early on that if our digital future is only built around pleasure, we'd lose sight of productive innovation.
So it's not about escaping reality.
It's the opposite. Docuplay's framework is built on what they call the reality principle. It's this actionable, really rigorous blueprint for intellectual growth, for technological leadership. It just transcends the old models.
I find that whole conceptual framework fascinating. It's not just tech for the sake of tech.
Mm.
It's a whole philosophical stance on how we should be digitizing and using knowledge. So our mission today is to really unpack Docuplay's structure, to see how it maximizes the real-world use of digitized knowledge. I mean, it sounds like a true shortcut to becoming well-informed, organized, and just prepared for what's coming.
That's it, exactly. What Docuplay is doing really is laying out this profound blueprint that goes way beyond traditional learning. It turns static academic content into this dynamic, living laboratory of applied knowledge.
A living laboratory. I like that.
It's a system designed to be both incredibly expansive in scope, covering every single angle of a subject, and deeply, deeply analytical in its approach.
And the key to all of this is a term they coined themselves, the Metaverses for the Reality Principle, or NPR. This is where they draw that line in the sand, isn't it?
It is. It's the core distinction.
Okay, so let's start right there. We need to define what this reality principle really means in their context and maybe understand the history that led them to this unique idea. All right, so let's start with the basics. The word itself, Docuplay really leans on the etymology here to define what they're doing.
They do. It's very intentional.
We know metaverse comes from the Greek meta, meaning beyond, and then verse, which is shortened from universe.
Right. And if you combine those, the Docuplay definition of an NPR becomes incredibly precise. It is, and I'm quoting here, content that transcends the traditional and basic vision or treatment of a theme of study.
So it's knowledge that is deliberately pushing beyond the four walls of a classroom.
Exactly. It pushes beyond the textbook and integrates directly with the functional, messy reality of a subject.
What I find so compelling, and it really speaks to the vision of this project, is that Docuplay was doing this amon la lettres. I mean, way before metaverse was a buzzword.
They weren't chasing a trend.
Not at all.
Yeah.
They were calling these things complementary files for years, which just shows this long-standing commitment to comprehensive, cross-disciplinary content.
And that history is absolutely vital to understanding them. If you look at the architecture of their courses, they have always used these sophisticated search engines categorized into 3 groups of files.
Right, I saw that. Downloadable, linkable, and complementary.
Exactly. The first 2 are all about depth. We'll get to that later, the whole vertical study idea. But that third group, the complementary files, that was always meant to be the augmented or extended reality of the course.
So when the metaverse idea blew up, they just put a name to what they were already building.
Precisely. They applied the NPR name to their existing reality-expanding content. It was their way of making sure that essential distinction between productive NPR content and speculative, what they call MPP content, stayed crystal clear.
Okay, this expansion then leads us to the 2 big goals of these metaverses for the reality principle. This isn't just for show, it's designed for real, quantifiable outcomes.
That's right. The first goal is achieving what they call transversality and interdisciplinary reality.
Okay, break that down for us.
It sounds complex, but the idea is simple. Docuplay wants to dramatically increase the reality of any course topic by linking digitized entities, which they put into categories, directly with the subject you're studying.
So you're enriching it with new perspectives.
New perspectives, relevant entities, things with high academic interest. So imagine you're studying material science. The NPR ensures that you are also engaging with the economic forces driving supply chains, the legal patents on specific compounds, the social impact of it all.
So it's not just about what the material is, but how it actually functions out there in the world.
Yes, and that leads to the second goal, which is maybe the most ambitious part, creating the virtual laboratory.
This sounds like the pinnacle of it all.
It is. This is the reality principle in action. It's about integrating physical industrial reality right into the digital learning space. You have these associated entities, companies, research labs, inventors providing 3D images or videos of their actual products and services.
And the key is connecting them to the real world.
The key is connecting them via the Internet of Things, IoT. When you do that, these digital things become a dynamic, real-time virtual laboratory for every single course. And that mechanism is what enables these unprecedented levels of R&D and I&D&C.
Okay, we absolutely have to slow down and unpack that acronym. R&D&I and D&C. It feels like the engine of the whole Docuplay vision.
It is. It stands for research, digitization, innovation, development, and commercialization.
So it goes way beyond just research and development.
Way beyond. It connects them all. So traditionally, education is all about the first R, research. But Docuplay integrates all 5 phases.
Okay, so take us through them. How does the virtual lab do that?
Right. So research. The student uses the vast NPR content to investigate, to go beyond the basic theory. Then digitization. That's the process of translating real-world things, products, patents into usable digital formats like 3D models or AR overlays. That's the core of the NPR.
Got it. And that leads to innovation.
It does. Innovation.
Hmm.
Because you have access to real-time industrial data and patents, students can spot gaps, they can troubleshoot real problems, and generate new ideas for products or services. Then comes development. The virtual lab, connected via IoT, allows for practical, hands-on training. You can test concepts, you can modify 3D models of a company's actual product, run simulations based on real data, all without needing the physical hardware.
Wow. And then the final C, commercialization.
Commercialization. By exposing students to the economic service, to the legal frameworks like D-Law, to market statistics, they learn to develop actual business plans and strategies. It ensures their innovations are actually viable for the market.
So Docuplay is literally integrating the educational and training phase directly with the productive and competitive phase.
That's the synergy.
I saw mention of something called PICs. Where do they fit into this R&D and I&D&C cycle?
Ah, yes. The PICs, that's Pentafacet's industrial consortiums, they're basically the organizational outcome of this whole environment. They represent the collaborative structures you need, often involving 5 sectors like academia, government, industry, and so on, to really leverage the virtual laboratory.
So it formalizes the connection between the classroom and the boardroom.
It does. By integrating education directly with industry and commercialization through these PICs, Docuplay creates the environment where Industry 4.0 can actually flourish. You're turning academic potential into real economic advancement.
It's clear they're building a very structured, very productive system. Let's talk about the philosophical why behind it. They use Freud's theory of 2 principles to create this conceptual firewall between their NPR and everything else.
It's a brilliant framing, really. So the reality principle, or PR, governs Docuplay's NPRs. They are designed by definition to be educational, investigative, productive, and sustainable. The focus is on augmented reality, AR layering useful, digitized real-world assets onto your learning experience. The goal is always utility, creation.
And the other side of that coin is the pleasure principle, or PP. That's what defines all the other metaverses.
Precisely. The MPPS metaverses for the pleasure principle are characterized as idle, pleasurable, speculative, unproductive, and ultimately, from an innovation standpoint, unsustainable.
So that's your gaming worlds, your fictional realities.
Yes, dominated by pure virtual reality, VR, or fictional reality, which often just lack the academic or didactic rigor you need to drive real scientific or technological progress.
So Docuplay isn't saying player is bad. I mean, they even have docu-games. But they're insisting the foundation has to be the reality principle. It has to be that synergy between investigation and production.
And this brings us to a really critical societal point that Docuplay emphasizes again and again, the issue of global leadership.
They see the dominance of the MPP model as an actual threat.
A huge threat. That is a very powerful statement from them. Docuplay's position is that if these MPPs, which prioritize leisure and speculation over academic rigor, come to dominate, well, the Western world risks losing its long-held leadership in thought, science, and technology to thriving Asian countries that maintain incredibly high standards of academic and productive synergy.
It's a call to action, then.
It is. Docuplay is actively trying to fill that gap. They're ensuring that the massive resources flowing into digitization are channeled toward rigorous learning, innovation, and that full R&D and I&D&C cycle. By emphasizing NPR, they're providing the infrastructure needed to prevent a weakening of the West in the field of ideas.
That reframes the whole discussion. This isn't just a new teaching tool, it's an economic and strategic imperative.
And the advantages are so clear. They integrate education and production, they're faithful to reality, and they're enriched with these augmented realities that give you that critical transversal dimension.
The military analogy they use is perfect for explaining this. It really clicked for me.
It's a brilliant analogy. It illustrates the difference between just having potential and actually being successful.
So the knowledge, the deep vertical learning you get from the main course, that's like the artillery of an army. You have the cannon, it's perfectly built, ready for battle.
It's a powerful weapon. But without the NPR, that cannon just sits there. It's inert.
It can't aim.
It can't aim. The productive phase, the horizontal knowledge from the NPR metaverses, that is what installs the devices the gunner needs to aim the cannon accurately and fire it correctly to get the best results. The NPR is the aiming mechanism. It's the operational context that makes the core knowledge effective in the real world.
Ah, I get it. So it's the difference between knowing how to draw a circuit diagram and actually designing a commercially viable, legally compliant IoT-enabled product. The NPR is what turns the knowledge into a real application.
Right.
That military analogy flows perfectly into the educational architecture they use, the T-shaped learning model. I think most of us have heard of this idea, needing both breadth and depth, but Docuplay really codifies it.
It's the visual manifestation of the reality principle. The whole structure is designed to make sure students get deep expertise, while at the same time understanding the huge ecosystem that surrounds that expertise.
Okay, so let's break down the T. The vertical bar. What does that symbolize?
The vertical bar is your deep dive. It symbolizes the explanatory theoretical subjects, the core in-depth study you get from the downloadable and linkable files. That's the foundation of your course object.
So that's mastering the fundamental theory. And the horizontal bar, that must be the context piece.
Exactly. The horizontal bar symbolizes the complementary or transversal subjects. And this is the natural habitat of the NPR metaverses. They provide that much broader perspective, which critically includes experimentation, real-world application, and production.
So Docuplay provides content for both bars of the T, the deep dive and the wide view.
The complementary files, the NPR content, they aren't just, extra credit reading. They are the active dynamic bridge that pulls theory into practice.
So while the downloadable files give you the text for that deep vertical dive,
The searchable complementary sectors, the metaverses, offer content specifically structured for a transversal, horizontal expansion of your knowledge. And that's how Docuplay substantially increases the reality of a subject compared to traditional teaching that pretty much stops at the vertical bar.
So what kind of content makes up this horizontal bar? We know it's companies, patents, things like that. But how is it all curated?
It's a collaborative model, which is key. The content comes from multiple agents, students, teachers, and external entities like the companies themselves who register their assets as relevant subservices.
So it's a living library.
It's a living library anchored by these really rigorous relevance checks. That's what guarantees the transversality. A student studying physics can instantly access real-time statistics on energy production or the corporate structures driving that market, which immediately expands their knowledge into economics and law.
The result is what you called productive synergy. So if I'm a student who masters sustainable architecture, that's my vertical. The horizontal bar gives me instant access to 3D models of green tech products, the current legal codes, maybe even the contact info for the people who design those systems.
It fundamentally changes the learning experience. You go from being a passive receiver of information to an active participant in this structured, real-world ecosystem. That productive synergy is what turns academic potential into commercial success.
Okay, moving to the practical outcomes. Docuplay talks a lot about dual benefits. This seems crucial for keeping the whole system self-sustaining.
It's the ethical and economic engine of the whole thing. The central idea is mutual benefit. The entities that contribute, companies, inventors, academics, they benefit hugely from notoriety, prestige, and publicity by having their work linked to this high-level academic material.
Right. And at the same time, the students are benefiting from direct access to learning, research, innovation, and development.
It creates this self-reinforcing symbiotic loop. I mean, why would a cutting-edge robotics company share 3D models of its latest product connected to the IoT?
Because it's a showcase.
It's high-value, targeted publicity. They're showcasing their tech to thousands of future engineers and potential clients. The students get access to current, high-value tools that feed their R&D and I&D&C cycle. It's a continuous exchange that guarantees the content stays dynamic and relevant.
And to make sure students are actually using all this amazing horizontal content, Docuplay builds in gamification. They're not just making it available, they're incentivizing you to explore it.
Absolutely. The reality principle might be about the purpose and the rigor of the content, but you get engagement through competition. Each category of metaverses in a course is gamified to organize competitions and what they call docu-leagues.
Docu-leagues, I like that.
It transforms what can be the dry work of research and analysis into something exciting and competitive.
So how do these docu-leagues enforce the reality principle? It's not just about winning a game, right?
Right. The docu-leagues push students to use the transversal content effectively. So a competition might ask you to design an application script based on analyzing current market statistics, that's one metaverse category, and navigating a specific legal patent, which is another.
So it rewards applied knowledge, not just memorization.
Exactly. It rewards applied contextual understanding that you pull directly from the horizontal plane of that T model. It's productive competition, all designed to reward efficiency in that R&D and D&C formula.
So the gamification is the motivator that makes sure students actually engage with the breadth of knowledge, cementing that link between theory and competitive reality. Okay, so we have the T-shaped structure, we have the reality principle. Now let's look at the scaffolding that holds it all up. Docuplay has these 4 auxiliary educational services, which they see as forms of augmented reality or MPR metaverses themselves.
That's right. These 4 services make sure the integration is systematic and complete. For any subject or object to be registered in one of these services, it has to be rigorously related to the course theme.
So it's not a free-for-all.
Not at all. By doing this, they become an increase in the vision and understanding of the course. They expand the resources for students, but in a very structured way.
Let's start with the most obvious one, the one that connects directly to the reality principle, the economic service.
This service is the lifeblood of the virtual laboratory. Its whole focus is augmenting the student's vision through direct functional collaboration with industry. The key subservices are highly productive: companies, products, services, patents, and applications.
So this is how the real-world assets actually flow into the academic environment.
Yes, it's the formal mechanism. It establishes that link between education and the commercialization phase of R&D and I&D&C. And it's the primary driver of that dual benefit we talked about, making sure companies are incentivized to provide high-quality, up-to-date content.
Right. Okay, next up is the social service. This seems to move beyond money and into human capital and networking.
The social service is crucial for building expertise and community. Its subservices are people, alumni, institutions, and groups. Docuplay actively encourages important individuals, eminences in a field, successful alumni to collaborate.
It's leveraging the power of the network.
It's leveraging the collaborativism of our time, as they put it. By getting related institutions and professional groups to register, it benefits the students' networking potential and the course itself by providing this diverse human expertise.
It sounds like a way to make professional mentorship scalable inside the metaverse.
That's a perfect way to describe it. Instead of one guest lecture, students have ongoing, structured access to a whole catalog of expertise that informs that horizontal plane of their learning.
Okay, then we have the information service. Why is a service just for communication so essential here?
Because that whole R&D and I&D&C cycle requires a constant flow of data, of evaluation, of transparency. The information service focuses on communication and detailed reporting. Its main subservices are emails and reports.
So it's about documentation and accountability.
Exactly. It ensures that research findings, experimental results from the virtual lab, general metrics like your DocuLeague standings, are all clearly documented and communicated. It fuels that continuous improvement cycle.
And finally, the competitive service.
This one is often implied and woven into the others through gamification, but it's the formal recognition of that competitive synergy that's inherent to the reality principle. It's sustained by objective metrics from the information service and structured through the docu-games and docu-leagues. It ensures the whole learning process is geared toward achieving superior results in productivity.
Now, Docuplay is very clear that the outcome of all this has to adapt to the subject. We mentioned the virtual laboratory for science and tech courses. Let's just reemphasize what that really means for a student.
The virtual laboratory is a place of doing. It uses IoT, augmented reality, 3D imaging to create this functional, practical environment. Think of a student being able to remotely interact with a sensor on a real piece of factory equipment, or modify a 3D CAD model a company provided, and instantly see the economic and practical implications of their change.
All in a dynamic, risk-free setting.
Exactly. But for humanistic courses, the reality principle still applies, even if there's no physical experiment, and that's where the virtual museum comes in.
So how does a virtual museum achieve that same level of interdisciplinary reality?
It focuses on context and accessibility. Museums and galleries, they're just like companies. They become a metaverse category. They can showcase objects, artifacts, historical documents, art that are illustrative for the course.
So they use the same underlying tech, 3D imaging, AR overlays.
The same tech, IoT for location data, 3D imaging for detailed analysis, AR overlays for conservation details or historical context. It brings these cultural artifacts directly into the student's learning environment.
So instead of a physical experiment, the humanities student is doing a deep investigation of digitized, real-world primary sources connected to the people, laws, and events surrounding them.
Precisely. It enriches the course objective in exactly the same way. It just proves the universal power and applicability of the MPR concept across every field of study.
We've laid out the T-shaped structure and the 4 services that support it. Now, let's get into the real nitty-gritty, the 11 specific categories that make up the content backbone of Docuplay's MPR structure. I mean, these are the actual entities that transcend the traditional vision of a course.
This list is really the core evidence of Docuplay's commitment to transversality. Each category serves multiple roles. It contributes to that horizontal bar, it facilitates R&D and I&D&C, and it enables the dual benefit.
Okay, let's start with number 1, companies, which you said is designated as the most important. Why is corporate involvement so heavily weighted?
Because companies are the primary source of real-world productivity, innovation, and application. I mean, without them, the virtual laboratory would be purely theoretical.
Just to simulate.
Just a simulation. Docuplay requires registered companies to provide digitized, high-fidelity 3D images of their products and functional videos of their services. And the mechanism that elevates this beyond just a product catalog is that connection to the Internet of Things.
That IoT connection is critical.
It's everything. When a company's assets are connected to the IoT, they go from being static models to dynamic, progressive elements of the virtual laboratory. This allows for practical, experimental training based on live data driving the full R&D and I&D&C formula. The triple benefit here is immense. Students get unparalleled access, the course objective is met through practical training, and the company gets this incredibly sophisticated, targeted exposure.
And that seems to lead right into the next 2 patents and 3 applications, which are called the innovation catalysts. Let's start with patents.
Patents are absolutely essential for innovation training. They represent protected, cutting-edge IP. Docuplay creates a mutual benefit here. Patent authors expose their innovation-generating notoriety, and students get access to the details, often in 3D and connected to the IoT for use in the virtual lab.
It's like a shortcut to the innovation phase.
It immediately accelerates it. Students can study successful commercial and technical breakthroughs in incredible depth. And the focus on applications just reflects the reality of modern industry. Digital creation is essential.
So Docuplay is actively promoting programming.
Yes, and the conception of applications. The goal isn't necessarily to make every student a full-stack developer, but to ensure they can at least conceive and clearly write the script for an application that's useful in their field. It enhances employability by making students proficient in design thinking.
And they're even thinking about how tools like generative AI fit into this. That's really forward-thinking.
It's a key detail. They recognize that while they use foundational tech like IoT and AR, Gen AI dramatically facilitates programming. Instead of a student getting bogged down in coding syntax, Gen AI can code what the human programs in natural language.
So the student can focus on the idea, the design, the utility.
Exactly. They focus on the reality-based application, which is a perfect fit for the reality principles focus on practical outcomes.
Okay, moving to 4. Statistics. This seems foundational, but why is it its own metaverse category?
Because statistics add that vital, cross-cutting, factual overview. Docuplay includes critical statistical series like from the CIA World Factbook or Eurostat to make sure students have reliable international data. But it's a metaverse because of its function. It provides the essential context for transversality, and crucially, it's the objective base for organizing the docu-games and docu-leagues.
Right, you can't have a competition without real-world data to back up your solution.
You need it to prove your solution is viable.
Let's talk about the social dimension, starting with 5. Personalities.
This is part of the social service. Docuplay promotes the collaboration of important individuals, eminences, experts, successful professionals. To incentivize them, Docuplay offers free specialized subscriptions. They become a critical NPR category, offering real-world insight and context that goes way beyond a textbook.
And similarly, 6. Groups associations.
Mm-hmm. Docuplay promotes the registration of related institutions, professional bodies, and groups. This becomes another beneficial metaverse category by linking students directly to relevant professional networks and industry consortiums. It just further solidifies that horizontal, collaborative dimension of the T model.
Okay, 7. Works. This one seems broader.
It is. This category ensures creative output, so scientific papers, literary works, art are classified as a metaverse as long as they're relevant to the course. It guarantees that even a technical subject has access to these broader intellectual and creative contexts.
Number 8 is 8. Laws, which is fascinating. Legal content is standard, but they elevate it to a metaverse like active Docuplay D-Law.
Well, treating laws as an NPR category ensures their contextual relevance is always high. You can't get to the commercialization C in R&D and IND and C without understanding the regulatory framework.
True. Innovation has to happen within legal boundaries.
And by treating laws as a dynamic metaverse, students always have access to the up-to-date regulatory landscape. It's crucial for ethical and profitable market entry.
Okay, rounding out the contextual categories, we have 9 historical milestones and 10 events.
These provide the temporal perspective. Historical milestones give a subject a sense of heritage and development, preventing knowledge from being stuck in the present. And current events provide that up-to-the-minute context and relevance. They make sure the reality principle is always focused on both the past and the present.
And finally, number 11. 11. Museums, which we now understand function as the virtual laboratory for the humanities.
Exactly. Museums and galleries mirror the productive function of companies. They are a vital metaverse because they can showcase objects that are illustrative or useful for a course. By digitizing their collections using 3D, AR, IoT, they create the virtual museum, guaranteeing that humanistic studies get the same high-fidelity, reality-based, interdisciplinary approach as the tech studies.
It's just so coherent. Going through all 11, it's clear that every single element is meticulously designed to connect learning to the real-world processes of research, innovation, development, and commercialization.
The coherence is remarkable. Each category, whether it's a law, a person, a product, or a statistic, serves as an active, integrated part of that T-shaped model's horizontal bar. It ensures students are equipped not just with deep knowledge, but with broad, actionable context. This is truly the digitization of the reality principle.
This has been an incredibly detailed deep dive into Docuplay's metaverses for the reality principle. So to summarize, when you pull it all together, we've seen that this is so much more than just a learning platform.
Oh, absolutely.
It's an integrated economic, social, and educational ecosystem built entirely on that principle of productive synergy PR, not PP. Docuplay provides both the vertical depth of core knowledge and the horizontal breadth you need for true professional mastery. It really does move beyond the traditional treatment of a subject.
The undeniable strength of Docuplay is its systematic approach to leveraging digitization. It makes sure knowledge is always current, contextually rich, and competitively applied. By successfully synergizing that educational investigative phase with the productive competitive phase, it really does achieve those unprecedented levels of R&D and IND and C through the virtual laboratory and virtual museum.
Right. And we've established that these MPRs are essential for channeling digital resources toward productive academic content and away from just speculative leisure. So given the massive scope of this framework, we want to leave you with a final, ambitious thought.
Think about the rapid pace of global digitization and the comprehensive nature of this system. Think about your own specific professional or academic field. What part of your career could immediately benefit the most from having access to a full R&D and IND&C virtual laboratory, powered by Docuplay's dynamic, real-time data?
And taking that one step further.
Looking at those 11 categories we discussed, if you were invited to be a collaborator, to contribute new content to that horizontal plane of knowledge to benefit your peers and drive forward the reality principle, what entirely new subservice would you propose to contribute to one of those 4 auxiliary educational services?